do you want to just say a little bit about yourself and your background? You mentioned you ran for Congress before.
Mhm.
You're obviously active in the political scene in Hendersonville, Nashville, and the western part of the state. Um, Tell the folks what you're about. Like, what are the things that are making you passionate?
Well, I'm a retired disabled combat vet. Retired after a little over 20 years in the U.S. Army. Um, and being a veteran is a big portion of, being a is a big part of my identity. Also, with Hurricane Helene, my family and we lost pretty much everything. We kept our bedrooms, which was nice. We kept our clothes, but we
Yeah.
lost everything else. We had over 8 feet of water in our house. We lost our business. We had a small bounce house business, Appalachian Bounce Company, which is no more. We just not unable to recover. There was no insurance that covered flooding for anything. We lost a 10 by 20 storage unit full of a lot of our keepsakes and different things that we just couldn't fit into our home that eventually we would. And we lost, I mean, that's the biggest thing. It's the material goods, not a big deal. We can replace all that stuff. It's not that, no big deal. And it was kind of, I always tell my wife, it was kind of time to purge anyways. We had too much stuff. But it's all the personal stuff that we lost. Leslie lost all her photos. We lost memories, keepsakes of the kids. And just I lost a lot of my military stuff, things like that. And you can't replace those things. So it was tough. It was tough going forward without outreach from the community, our friends and family. It would have been very hard to recover. We're still recovering, as is quite a few. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people are still trying to deal with this. Now we have wildfires in the area, and people are losing their homes. People that just, are getting over, trying to get past the flooding are now facing the loss of their homes to fires. Um, and that's directly attributed to all the debris that was created, trees knocked down, things like that from the flooding that wasn't taken care of. My wife has always brought up need to do control burns, or we're going to have uncontrolled burns, and we're having it. Leslie and I ran for Congress in 2022 to unseat Madison Cawthorn, but I ran as a Democrat, of course. I wouldn't, I don't think we'd be talking if I was a Republican because I got nothing to say to those Republicans, nor do I want to hear anything what they have to say. Um, and Chuck Edwards won that one. I did not get through, I was unable to get through the primary. I ran also switched over to running for state senate because it was empty and every seat needs to be filled, regardless if you can win or not. My ability to win was zero. We had two incredibly red counties out of the three, Polk and Rutherford. Then there was Henderson County, which I did fine. But you know, I actually did better in those counties than our statewide and national candidates did. I got a higher percentage of the votes, which was I was pretty proud of in that we were able to capture those independent voters, which is key down the road, of course, because the largest party is independent. Um, Leslie, at that point, Leslie wanted to get more involved. She took over. She became more involved with the county Democratic Party. She's the chair of the Democratic Party. She's doing an amazing job. Um, we were number one to shift left in the state, Henderson County, and 14th in the country. And through her efforts and the efforts of other people involved in that county party, they've done great. Personally, married to Leslie, we're almost 10 years now. Together we have four boys, ranging from ages 27 to 5. So it's a
Wow.
pretty big
Yeah.
swing there. Our oldest is my son through a previous marriage of Christopher. Our youngest is our son, Levi. And we have Quinn and Ari in the middle there. It's been an amazing ride so far. I mean, really weren't that involved in politics per se until we moved to North Carolina from Austin. And it's easy
Mm,
to be a Democrat in Austin. That's all there is. Um,
yeah.
but it was hard, it's hard being a Democrat here. And we saw a need. People needed to stand up. I mean, they were electing, and we went from Mark Meadows to Madison Cawthorn to Chuck Edwards. I mean, we are on a roll of terrible representatives.
Yeah.
Uh, and we're seeing that across the country as well. I mean, these MAGA Republicans that have been elected to office are doing everything they can to destroy our country. I was at Chuck Edwards Town Hall Um, and I sitting there and just had enough of his lies, of his self-congratulatory patting on the back lies, saying he's doing all these things for our district and then the aftermath of Helene, he's not doing anything. I mean, HUD
Yeah.
was just funded over $1 billion. About a quarter million of that was supposed to come to Western North Carolina to help rebuild homes, affordable
Yeah.
housing. But we've never had enough affordable housing. Now we don't even have enough homes, period. People are still living in tents. I saw it yesterday in Swananoa. There's tent cities. They're living this 6 months afterwards, and they're still living this way, and they're not getting the relief that they need. They're not getting the help. The government's not providing it. The state's struggling to provide it. There's all these threats of, no DEI, anti-DEI, taking out DEI. And, I am a recipient of DEI as a disabled vet, you know, and
Yeah.
they want to just, they're destroying our country and they don't care
Jay,
who they've hurt. And they're picking on the most vulnerable of us first, and they're just going to keep moving down until there's no one left. And there's no one
yeah.
left to stand up. But, that day I'd had enough and I stood up. And well, I was not expecting the impact that it had. I was not prepared for it to go across the world, across the globe. I mean,
Yeah.
it's everywhere. The stories are
Yeah.
still going, and never
And
mind the
president tweeted about it.
yes, President Trump tweeted about it, and in a roundabout way without naming me, he tweeted about me, and I'm like, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Mission almost not accomplished, but man, what a long way that goes. And the viralness of it is just people ask me what it's like, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm not a celebrity in my own head. I'm still the same person I was the day before that or walking in there. I'm just,
Yeah.
you
Well, I think
know,
that that speaks to like um the what people are feeling in this moment. I think what enables you to go viral for is that emotions of what you were feeling and that you were expressing reverberates with a lot of folks, and you're just naming what people are feeling and the emotions that they're feeling. And yeah, so I want to ask about. I want to go a little bit more about that in just a minute, but I want to kind of circle back to recovery and or non-recovery. Can you tell me a little? You said you and Leslie lost your home and a lot of other things, and a lot of folks around you did as well. Hopefully, you guys are starting to get back on your feet. But how are other people doing around you? I know nationally the attention shifted fairly quickly, but to the fires in LA and then other things. Um, and there's a lot of misinformation about, or maybe just a dearth of information even coming out, because again, attention has shifted. Are folks getting back on their feet? You mentioned people still living in tents. What's the situation still like? What are the needs?
I mean, we're still looking at a high unemployment rate. We went from the lowest to the highest right after Helene in this area. I mean, the
Yeah,
tourism is trying to come back. People are, but businesses are closing everywhere. They still don't have the support that they need to be able to stay open. People have just left the area. I mean, a great deal of our employment is tied directly to tourism. And when no one can come and do that, people they had to leave. They had to go somewhere else and find new jobs.
yeah,
So we're dealing with that. We're dealing with um, constant like you're we drove to DC or up to northern up by past Fredericksburg this weekend.
hmm
And there's like a line of demarcation coming out of this area, as you've probably seen yourself. We're driving up 40 and it's like what we're used to seeing because we're all just used to it. And then it's gotten to that where it's like then it's like normal, like nothing ever happened. And the destruction, it's everywhere. I mean, I look out my window and see it. It's everywhere here. It has not gotten much better. They are so far behind on trying to, just to clean up. I mean, there's still rivers with vehicles and parts of buildings and trees and things like that. My youngest son's school was destroyed. All the buildings were flooded, and they've just knocked them down. And but
Just
it's like
now.
you just become it's your new normal now to see an entire swath of forest knocked down, laying on the ground. We had tornadoes. People forget that we didn't just have flooding, we didn't just have a hurricane, we had multiple tornadoes. We had over 600 mudslides. You couldn't go to high ground because you'd wind up down on the bottom again, buried. People were dying in that. People had died. A lot of people I know, I got a friend whose entire house was lifted up by the tornado and shifted just slightly. You know, a house down the street from where we live lifted off its foundation, and now it's done. You can't fix. How do you fix that? You can't. And people, we had no insurance for these things, and people are still struggling. They say like, "Oh, I got, my house flooded, and I got $10,000 to fix it." When you're looking at $100,000 to fix it.
Yeah.
We don't. I don't expect the government to fully reimburse everybody for everything that was lost and all the damages. I get that. But we weren't in a flood zone where people just didn't get flood insurance. You can't get flood insurance outside of a flood zone. You couldn't do it. We had no expectation that I would be wading in shoulder deep water to get people out of their homes right across the street from my own house. That was not, it's not supposed to happen. And it did. And, people can't even rebuild on their land because of mudslides. They're not allowed to. And it's just, it's still, you see it. It's still like Hendersonville city, the city of Hendersonville, it's like pockets of places that were just destroyed, decimated. And some of it looks normal, and some of it will never be normal. Swananoa, Back Mountain, all these areas are just devastated and they'll never recover. And it's going to take just to even get some semblance of normalcy. I mean, they just opened a bridge. I believe it was in the Swananoa area where they just were able to finally get across to the other side, to other people and stuff. It's going to take years,
Yeah.
but it's also going to take a government that's willing to help us.
Yeah. So I imagine as you're sitting there in that town hall, with that background that you just described, and you're facing somebody who's kind of like, look at all the things that I brought you, that hasn't even actually gotten to you. I imagine you got pretty heated and mad about it.
Yes. I mean, that was one thing. I mean, this is a guy that lives lives up on a hill in a million plus dollar mansion behind a gated guardhouse, and he wasn't affected. I had nothing affected him, but he's like, "Oh, look what I've done for you, and how we are so resilient." And I'm like, "What's this we shit? It's not we. This is us and you." I had
Yeah.
a president that comes through, to pat himself on the back and say everything he's doing. And in that True Social post, he talked about how they did so much and that Joe Biden did nothing. No, since Joe Biden's left office, it's pretty much been nothing. They've pretty much stopped.
Yeah. Not even a paper towel roll.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, no, didn't throw. I could have used a couple. No, no paper towel rolls. No, none of that stuff.
Um, well, Jay, you're continuing to speak up, and you and Leslie are doing a lot to call attention to the things that need to be happening. Um, I, is it important for other people to also be speaking up? And what could they be doing?
Well, that was, afterwards when I saw that it took off. That was, like I said, that was the energy I was trying to give other people. I want other people to speak up. I want other people to
Yeah,
sound off. I want to hold our elected officials, whether they're Dems or Republicans, accountable and find out, what are you doing? What are you doing to help us? What are you doing to stop this slide into tyranny? There's some out there that are doing it. You got AOC, you got Bernie. Oh, Bernie is timeless. I can't believe the things he does. But there's not enough. I mean, you're starting to see some things come out, but it's just, it's not enough. And but people are sounding off at these town halls. We've seen that. Saw it the very next day, people yelling, "Do your job." Something I was yelling at Chuck Edwards. It's catching fire. It's becoming a movement, and I mean, that's what anybody would want is for this to, yeah, to really be a catalyst to action. I want to see
Yeah.
people out there. I want to see people protesting every chance they get. And I'm sorry, but these quiet, friendly protests of not saying anything and just standing there with a sign, it doesn't work. It does not work. In my opinion, it's never worked. I've never liked them. I won't go to them because I went to a few and I've been told to shut up because I was saying something. And I'm like, I can't not say something. This sign isn't enough. You got to get in people's faces. You got to hold them accountable for what they're allowing, even other citizens that are just allowing things to happen to go down. And it help them to realize that, hey, man, it's affecting you too. You know, the you know the people that are going to have the biggest the things that they're doing are going to have the biggest impact are those poor white people that voted for Chuck Edwards and voted for Trump. And they're feeling it already. Some of them are regretting their vote, but not too late.
Yeah, it's I would agree with that assessment that the things we've done before are maybe not as effective as we wanted them to be, and we certainly need to be reaching for some new tactics and more direct methods of confronting the problems that are facing us. I think your way is one of the ways to do that is to get loud and show people some real emotion about the consequences of previous actions and the kind of elected representation we choose for ourselves. Um, we put these people in power so they could come and take care of us, right? And not take care of some national agenda. All politics is local. So it doesn't, it's not supposed to go that way. Or it's not supposed to be top down. It's supposed to be uh, roots up.
Yes.
So you started, I think, in the wake of this, a nonprofit called Resist and Persist, uh,
Yes.
calling people to do a little bit more pointed speaking up. Or tell me, I'm putting words in your mouth now. Tell me what Resist and Persist is all about.
Well, resist and persist, the main goal or the start point is with veterans uh, benefits that they're being taken away, to draw people's attention to it, and to hear from veterans, to hear from VA workers what's really happening. Because they're saying a lot of things aren't happening and it's a lie. It's a straight up lie. I mean, I have people that work in various VAs reaching out to me and telling me what they're really talking about. And not these are people that are up high that they're saying, hey, this is, they're trying to cut your rating, your disability rating down so they can save money. These different things. And that's we don't save money by cutting benefits from veterans, period. We that is not the route you want to take. You don't want to piss off a bunch of trained armed people, and it's just you don't get to
Not the
or
right thing to do
not the
to
right thing to do. No, and
cut
you don't
off
want to
benefits
you don't
from
want to
people
sit
who
there
serve
and
their country. Yeah.
yeah, and basically, dump on people that did everything they could. They've given up so much of their life in defense of this country. Whether they deployed to a combat zone or not, they still did it. And it's still hard. And it still takes it out of you. Your body, it breaks your body. I mean, it is not easy to be in the military. I don't care which branch it is. It's not easy. You give up a lot. Your family gives up a lot. And for them to sit here and say, "Oh, you're easy picking because we're not that huge of a voting block." Well, then we need everybody else, those non-vets, to start standing up. Because just veterans standing up and crying, and crying out for their own things, not going to work. We need people, and they are. People rally around. We need those elected officials, like you're saying, ground up to start making noise and start saying, "What are you do? Why are you doing this? You can't do this to us. You can't do this to them." And I mean, I'm starting to see it. I hope it continues. But the goal of this nonprofit is to amplify those voices, to help get people like me in front of these elected officials that aren't always that easy to get to. Like I went to DC and I had no chance of talking to anybody, unfortunately, but I did get some great I reconnected with some friends of mine that are in the social media area, people like Jolly Good Ginger, who's huge, does advocating for vets and a lot of other things, and U.S. Army Overlord, who is a great advocator for veterans and a great advocator for, I mean, especially Black veterans. Um, and you know, so we were able to do that, but I need to get in front of these. I need to get in front of these elected officials and tell them exactly how people feel, the unvarnished truth. Not the days of being polite are over. They need to
Yeah.
be because they don't respect us. Why should we respect them? We push back. So, and you're 100% right about the ground up, roots up. Local government is key. And one of our area local governments is giving away their power, giving away the power that people gave them. They canceled DEI meetings because there might be a bill that passes, and they're afraid of the repercussions.
Yeah.
They don't want to. I was like, don't. You don't want to comply in advance,
Yeah. Don't surrender prematurely.
right?
Don't
Absolutely.
comply.
And their
Yeah.
reasoning does nothing but add fuel to the fire. They put out stuff, and I'm like, you'd be better off just shutting up. I'm not saying anything because you're not making it any better. You're just pissing people off.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's
We
another thing I want, elected officials to understand is that we give you our power by voting for you, or by, even if we didn't vote for you, you still have our power by going and representing us.
yeah.
You don't get to give that power away. You need to be held responsible.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. I mean, you gotta hold them.
For sure. Yeah. There was a call last night organized by the Jewish left community by Ben the Ark called "We Speak for Ourselves," and it was digesting the Trump deportation agenda and the intersection of that with anti-Semitism. And one of the things that we discussed was like, do not comply early. One of you have to fight this thing early, right? You have to fight fascism when it's just at its in its kernels, because that's when it's easiest to fight it. If you comply too early, you're giving it fuel, right? So you come out for those first initial targets of fascism, and you show a strong hand and you say this is not acceptable, right? Because from here on out, if you do the opposite, if you roll over that early, the game's already over.
People, um, a lot of people that I spoke with, people that are very interested or strong in the movement, they realize that one thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to provide safe houses for these people that are being unjustly deported and unjustly targeted. Give them a safe house, get them a place to stay, whatever you can do, help somebody provide a safe house, help with supplies, things like that, because we're gonna have to bunker down and fight, fight this wave of fascism that's going through. And you're absolutely right. You got to fight it when it's in infant stages, or it gets too entrenched. And I mean, we don't, this isn't something that's theoretical, right? I mean, we've
Yeah.
seen it and seen it and seen it. So,
And we're seeing it at at the federal level now, and it's very scary. And scary as in like I think people I'll add a little bit of my thoughts into this recording that it's scary right now, but this is also the time where it's time to steel your spine, right? Like this isn't how it was before. This is a new era in American politics and American history, and you have to shift how you behave according to the reality that we're in. You got to meet the moment. And in this moment, we are fighting fascism. That is what it is. And so we can't just be polite neighbors disagreeing anymore. We have to come up and stand up for our rights and the rights of our most marginalized folks in our communities. And we have to show up early and often and consistently, and do it together through solidarity. Because
absolutely.
They come for one of us, they will absolutely come after the rest of us. We know that from historical perspectives and historical truths. So, all right, I'll get off my soapbox. This isn't interview me time.
No, one more thing about the nonprofit, it's
Yeah,
resistpersist.org. Go,
resist.persist.org. Okay.
yeah, you can check out the website, you can sign up to the newsletter. Um, Please donate if you can. It's really, it's not easy to get it's not easy getting this off the ground, but
Yeah.
it can make a difference. I have that momentum right now. It's still there. And let's get, the idea is to help me to get out to places where I need to be to speak our truth.
All right. Thank you. We'll certainly get that information out there to our folks. Jay, I think that's all I got, unless is there anything else you want to add in closing?
No, I don't. I feel like we covered quite a bit. I think it's been really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just be loud, be angry. It's okay to be angry. We need to be angry. Embrace that, and and don't don't allow anybody to tell you how you should think. Don't give in. It's pretty much it. Just yeah.
All right. That's that's a good summation. I'll stop the recording now, and but let's hang on for a few minutes afterwards here.
Sure.